I'm sure most of us are thinking by now that if we could go back in time and invest more money into Bitcoin, we definitely would. When I got into Bitcoin, I absolutely didn't trust it. And to tell you the God's honest truth, I still don't trust it simply because the problem is that so many people basically can enter and exit it anytime they want. And because I already know that there's a lot of governments that will never allow cryptocurrency to challenge their central bank currencies. For example, when China decided to put legislation against Bitcoin, suddenly we saw it dip from the $7,000 range into the $6,000 range. And now Bitcoin has hit a high of 9,000. Actually, it was like 9,200, but in after hours trading, it's been fluctuating, but it's 9,000. I think last night when I closed my eyes and went to bed, it was like 8,785 from what I remember. And the other investments that I've made in what are they called? Penny stocks and whatnot have actually all started to do very well. And the beautiful thing about penny stocks is I can buy tens and hundreds of thousands of shares for less than $1,000 a piece, just like my BLOZF. So anyway, some people have said, oh, I wish I had listened to you and it's whatever and all that. So what I'm doing basically is I'm just suggesting a couple of blockchains for you to look at. Like, as I've said before, I definitely want to invest more money into medical blockchains. But keep in mind, just like MSNBC and CNNBC, I already know that I'm not, quote unquote, telling you where to invest your money. And I also have to have disclaimers like, you should only risk what you're willing to gamble away or what you normally would have wasted on, like beer, hookers, and drugs and whatnot. If you were willing to waste that money, then there's absolutely nothing wrong with investing that money. The money that I use, I don't use from my regular paychecks or anything. I use that money from my YouTube paychecks. So when I have like a couple of $1,000s come in every other month or so from YouTube, I take half of that money and I reinvest it into stocks. Thus far, the stock investments that I've made have been paying off. Right now on off markets and Main Street and Wall Street, there's a lot of money that's seeking respite in the market, and you really have no idea what's going to rise and what's going to fall. So all I can say is do your research. Me personally, I'm interested in medical blockchain because if my Ethereum and my Litecoin finally started jumping, my Ethereum went from fucking like 300 and it's like 400 and something now or something. But that's mostly because of this after hours trading. But the Bitcoin itself is causing like craziness in the market where now everybody wants to put money into Bitcoin or everybody wants to put money into cryptocurrency. So the problem is with these things, I have no idea where any of these things are going. All I know is I like getting in on the ground floor. So if you take a look at these blockchains, maybe you decide you want to put some money in each one. I'm already certain that I'm putting money in each one. And the thing about it is I can accept a loss. But the beautiful thing is, it's like over time, as more and more money seeks more respite in cryptocurrency, I have to assume that more of these things are going up. Because to tell you the truth, when I bought Ethereum and when I bought Litecoin, I didn't believe in them either. Just like when I bought Bitcoin, I thought the whole thing was a pump and dump scam. I'm very well may be right. Just like all these bankers like Jamie Dimon are saying, these things have the appearances of bubbles because they cannot rise in perpetuity. Not only that, there's a lot of competition finally coming to market. Like Bitcoin was the newer cryptocurrency. Now there's so many of them just popping up left and right. And a lot of people in these countries with shitty currencies that are national currencies, a lot of these people are now reinvesting their money into crypto in order to make it so that they can make large-scale purchases internationally and do it in a way where they're not noticed by their government. And that's part of the reason why China has started crushing down on these things. It's because they don't want certain amounts of Chinese yuan being moved offshore. Russia, Europe, you have no idea what the next country will be that decides that they're going to, drop down on these cryptocurrencies and say that, yeah, you're not allowed to spend certain amounts of money and whatnot. So all I can really say is, all I can do is suggest to you some things to look at, and then you look at them on your own time. I'm just going to buy a couple thousand shares of them because the way I see it is just investing $1,000 into each one of these things when they're only in the penny range can have lasting effects later on. If I had invested $1,000 flat in Bitcoin in the absolute very beginning, right now I'd be worth over, $9 million. Now, I don't know what chunk out of my ass the government and Uncle Sam are going to take come April 14th, because part of the reason why I don't like to sell is because if you sell, that money is counted as capital gains, and you got capital gains tax, and then the IRS is all over your ass come April. So me personally, I like to just hold on to them, and I kind of treat it as if it's savings in a bank account. But, they're changing the tax code right now. Your president who refuses to show his taxes is trying to change and manipulate the tax code right now. So as you can hear, I have a lot on my mind, and it's like if I were to start selling off this money right now, I could literally take just my Bitcoin and I could throw that shit at Chrysler, and I could say, yeah, give me a Trackhawk and give me the appropriate hood that I want on it. All right, fuck, I could take that money to Mercedes, buy a Mercedes S450 or S550 if I really wanted to. But that would be waste. And I'm not into wasting my money. So I know I'm going on vacation. I know it's going to be a fun vacation. I know Emirates is going to eat up a large amount of whatever I'm deciding to spend for it. But all I can say is, do your research. Be careful. Don't bet your shirt. Don't bet the farm. Honestly, me personally, I don't trust any of this shit. And, it's for me, it's all a gamble. So you just be very, very careful and try to avoid buying on margin. I've seen people mortgaging their houses for Bitcoin, and they did it when it was in the $5,000 range. I can't think of anything riskier than doing that shit. Now, granted, at this point, they are well up. And if they did make enough money, the first thing I would have done was cash that shit out and pay that house off. So this way that bill from that house can never come back to haunt them. But the problem with greed and cryptocurrency is you never know when to get out. You never know when to get in. You never know when to get out. And the problem is it's 9,000 right now. It could rise to 100,000, but it could fall to zero. You just don't know. So my thing is maintain $0 in credit card debt. Maintain $0 in loans if you can. Sell off what you got to sell off. Be very careful, because I just can't trust any of this shit. I mean, you're making these things and mining these things using fucking NVIDIA and AMD video cards, for God's sakes. I don't trust any of this shit. I'm sorry. I just don't. Now, it's working for me so far, but I'm still skeptical, and that's just where it is. And even these big bankers like Jamie Dimon and Peter Schiff, these people who are investors, all of them are saying the same thing. They believe it's a bubble specifically because it looks like a bubble. It cannot rise in perpetuity. The bottom line of all stocks is to buy low and sell high. You have no idea what the high is, but the low is $0. So all I can say is do your research, bet carefully.